Once upon a time in the heart of London, there lived a boy named Peter Pan. Now, Peter was no ordinary boy. You see, Peter had the magical ability to fly. How did he do it? Well, with a little help from his friend Tinker Bell, a tiny fairy who would sprinkle him with fairy dust every time he needed to fly. Peter's house was located in a magical place called Neverland, a world where children could fly around on magical adventures, play fun games, and live a life full of endless fun and wonder. Not only that, but the people in Neverland never grew up. Can you imagine how awesome that would be? Now, one night, Peter flew through the window of a nursery where he met a girl named Wendy and her two brothers, John and Michael. Oh, and not to forget their dog, Nana, who was like a second mother to the darling children. Peter told the children about the amazing adventures and fun games that they could have in Neverland if they just agreed to go with him. Wendy was curious about this magical world and wanted to go on an adventure, so she agreed, and with a sprinkle of fairy dust, the children flew away to Neverland. As soon as they arrived, they met a group of kids who were playing outside. They were called the Lost Boys, and they all lived in Neverland. They had no parents, and Peter Pan was like their leader. At first, the children had lots of fun in Neverland. They played games with the Lost Boys, went on adventures, and experienced all kinds of exciting things. They even got to fly around, which was something Wendy and her brothers had never done before. It felt so good to spread your arms and fly, especially with the wind blowing through your hair and the feeling of freedom all around you. But as time went on, Wendy began to miss her parents. She started to feel like she had been gone for too long and wished she could go home. On top of that, the other Lost Boys also missed their parents and siblings. And you know what? Their wish was granted. Peter flew them back home, but not before thanking him for the wonderful time they had in Neverland. You see, Peter didn't want to grow up, and the longer he stayed in Neverland, the more the other children started to forget about their lives back home. But Wendy and her brothers couldn't stay in Neverland forever. They had to go back. However, Peter begged Wendy to stay, promising her that he would come visit her in her own world. Wendy agreed, and with a sprinkle of fairy dust, she and her brothers flew back home. Now, even though Wendy and her brothers were happy to be home, they also missed their adventures in Neverland. Whenever they looked up in the sky, they imagined themselves flying around with Peter and the Lost Boys. As for Peter, he continued to live in Neverland, having fun adventures with the Lost Boys and escaping the responsibilities of the real world. However, one day, Peter and the Lost Boys were playing a fun game, when suddenly a big ship appeared on the horizon. It was Captain Hook and his pirates, and let me tell you, Captain Hook hated Peter Pan with all his heart. You see, years ago, Peter had cut off his hand and fed it to a hungry crocodile. That crocodile had followed Hook ever since, waiting for a chance to eat him. Every time Hook came near the water, he would nervously think to himself, "Tick," knowing that the crocodile was close by. And to make matters worse, Hook was always losing his temper, making him even more grumpy than usual. Anyway, Peter and the Lost Boys had to outsmart Captain Hook and his crew in order to escape Neverland. During the chase, Wendy and her brothers joined the fight, and together they managed to defeat the pirates. After the battle, Wendy and her brothers said goodbye to Peter and the Lost Boys, promising to never forget their adventures in Neverland. And that's the story of Peter Pan. So what's the moral of the story? Well, some say childhood is a time to be carefree and imaginative, while others say growing up brings new adventures and responsibilities that shape who we become. Peter Pan teaches us that it's okay to embrace our inner child, but it's also important to accept the changes that come with growing up. The story reminds us to cherish our childhood memories, but also to look forward to the future.